Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
What the duck is up? This is Addi with Two Guys, One Pod. I'm the first guy, Addi being our dog Carter, and my guest, the Scott Malicious, Scotty Malpractice, S. Mal, the man, the myth, the legend. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
Oh man, could not be much more excited. We got football today. We are weeks away from the start of the season. And months and months and months of all this hypothetical thinking about who the best players and the best teams are going to be will start to finally unveil itself here in just over a month.
Yeah, it's getting exciting, and in fact, we even have news to talk about. We have proper news, actually consequential, not Justin Fields from last week, back from the injury already. He's doing fine, but we had breaking news today. I had the top item as on the sheet as Mixon, because of course it would be. And then it got trumped because Terry has officially requested a trade. What does that mean to you?
Nothing. It reminds me of the Brandon Ayuk situation last year. He wanted a trade as well, maybe a week or two earlier in the summer, and this just seems like a negotiation tactic. I don't think that the Commanders want to know what they look like without Terry McLaurin, and I don't know that the market's all that large for Terry McLaurin as it is. So I think it's just another negotiating chip, and here in 4.5 weeks, we'll see Terry McLaurin suiting up as the number one receiver for Washington still.
Yeah. I mean, I love to hear that because my Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin stacks are going to look worse and worse the longer he is holding out and the further he falls down draft boards. You're able to get him close to wide receiver 20 now, and that is pretty nice value. I do love Debo, though, either way. I think no matter what, they give him some reps at running back, and he ends up living up to ADP. But let's move it to the next one here. Joe Mixon, out extended time. You know, a lot of the times you hear that a team can lie to your face, but they can't lie with their checkbook. And this is one of those scenarios because Nick Chubb signed early in the offseason. I didn't think it was consequential. I'll be honest, I was kind of on the side of, I watched Nick Chubb last year. I waited 10 weeks with him on my IR spot. I wanted to believe. Who's the guy there? Is it Woody Marks? Is it Nick Chubb? Like what's the actual outcome from this one?
The comments from the head coach, Miko Ryans of Houston, were not very positive on Chubb recently. It seems like he's lost a step. And for all the things we feared with his old age coming off of multiple injuries, I'm definitely not rushing to go grab Nick Chubb. Woody Marks, definitely interested. Added him to my Dynasty League as a deep bench stash. I mean, not going up against a bunch of competition, but earlier on next today, I saw a list of names of Houston running backs from training camp, and I didn't even recognize 4 of the 5. So I think Chubb was number 4 on the list out of the 5 running backs. So recognize that name. And then Marks, 5th round pick out of USC. He was number 2 on the list. And I don't even remember who number 1 was. I'd never even heard the name. So Marks, the receiving option, I definitely think he's worth a dynasty stash. And we'll see how Mixon's health looks as we get closer.
Yeah, what was, because were you a big Mixon guy this offseason? Like in best ball, were you taking him pretty often, RB like 19, 20?
Not really. In that range, I'm much more interested in like Roma Dunze and a couple of the high upside receivers that, as much as I've heard a number of fantasy analysts talk up Mixon and James Conner and Alvin Kamara in that range, just really tough for me to avoid some of these wide receivers that I just feel like have ceiling and outcomes potential.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to make the case for Kamara there too, because I've been taking Kamara plenty, but I haven't been taking Mixon. I feel like he would have to drop to like the RB 25, 30 range for it to be palatable at this point. Like that big of an injury where you're in doubt for week one it's more signal than noise. Speaking of people who might not be out there in week one, we have Darnell Mooney. Week one in jeopardy, shoulder injury. He's had a couple of these. This isn't new for him. How do we feel about that? Because I feel like if you're a Kyle Pitts guy, which I am, of course I'm a Kyle Pitts guy. I like all players that run fast and don't catch footballs. But like, how does it make you feel? Are you steaming up Drake London or Ray McLeod, or does it move the needle for anyone?
I have struggled to get on the Atlanta bandwagon this offseason. There's not a particular reason here or there that I've necessarily thought of, but just haven't been super motivated by that team other than Bijan. Bijan, excuse me.
Is it Bijan?
Oh, yes, that was the latest out of camp. He was asked like how to pronounce his name, and he said it's Bijan. So
Bijan.
Bijan.
That's sick. I like Bijan.
Yeah.
I even like Dijon mustard. So yeah, that I'm kind of with you. I think Atlanta might be one of those teams. I see a little bit of a parallel between like the Titans last year, but like I don't want to go that far because that feels mean to Penix. I have a much higher grade on him than I ever had on Will Levis, but still, it's a little scary. You know, they need the receiving weapons there, and I would be a little concerned if Ray is your number 2 receiver.
Yeah, it seems like Mooney will come back pretty healthy to start the season. And from what I've heard, people haven't adjusted their ranks much to this news, which I think is fair. He's going kind of at the end of the wide receivers we're interested in tier before we just have this giant drop off and end up in this world of running backs, QBs, and tight ends. So I think if you liked him before, you like him similarly now. No one likes to see a player miss the preseason training camp, but he's a veteran. He understands the books, and he's gotten a lot of comments from his teammates and coaching staff about how like smart he is and how easily he picks things up.
Great.
So a wasted Bear asset. Nice to see that he's finally breaking out somewhere else.
I swear to God, when Justin Fields starts playing well this year, we'll have the full stack of Bears players that have succeeded outside of Chicago, which will be great. I love the Darnell Mooney, David Montgomery, Justin Fields offense. That one has a place in my heart. I think we should have stuck with it. But moving on, Nyheim Hines signs with the Chargers. I feel this might be related to a certain firework accident. What's your thoughts? We're watching some Chargers tonight. Does this move any needles? Are you worried about Omarion Hampton?
I'm definitely not worried about Omarion Hampton. I've moved him up right next to Breece Hall in my rankings, and happy to take him as we hit this kind of questionable wide receiver 1 territory. I mean, I still do like Marvin Harrison. I feel like the market is pretty out on him, but he's still the number 1 pick from last year. So probably taking him over Hampton. Then you're kind of at the then you have Garrett Wilson, which I'm happy to mix him in. I love the talent, and with his recent contract signing, I mean, clearly he's considered to be the future there. But then you get into like JSN, McLaurin. At that point, I like Breece Hall, I like Hampton, and I like the elite quarterbacks in that range.
Yeah, I'm thrilled, and we get to see some Hampton tonight. Like I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a breakaway run. The guy is a monster. He is very fun to watch. I hope they give him a little bit of extended run tonight, but you know, Trey Lance is on the field, so you're never going to know what's going to happen there. Moving on to the next one, Cincinnati, the home of Mike Gesicki, the number one most athletic prospect, gets Noah Fant, a top 12 athleticism score player. How do we feel about that? Because for me, it just makes me not want Gesicki even more.
Yeah. He was already like if Tee Higgins was hurt, then Gesicki could be good kind of player. And now we've added Fant, who I think nothing of because he's been more hope than reality thus far in his career. What it means to me is for you deep dynasty folks, keep an eye on Eric All as the season goes long. He's out for this year with recovering from an ACL, but no one in front of him. Who knows what the draft's going to look like next year? But just kind of keep a asterisk on Eric All.
Yeah, I love Eric All. I don't think we get to see a lot of Eric All this year, sadly.
I don't think any. I think he's out for the season. So.
Oh, is he out for the year?
Yeah, I think that's what I've been hearing pretty much since the injury happened. So it wasn't super clean because it happened
that
mid-year.
Makes sense. Then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Plenty of other weapons.
I think that says more about All.
What about Taj Brooks from the same team? How are you feeling about him with the recent release of Zach Moss?
So the only reason I'm not excited about Taj Brooks is Samaje Perine. And I know that sounds silly, but if you look at this team, they are a squad with a dynamic offense. They have a trusted veteran who did nothing to show that they aren't the RB1 last year. Chase Brown did everything he needed to do to secure that starting job. And they didn't draft a running back in the first 3 rounds. They had plenty of opportunities. There was easily a chance that they could have ended up with Quinshon, Travion, even, probably not Hampton. They weren't going to take a guy in the first, but still, they had the opportunity to draft a high draft capital running back, and they picked Taj Brooks, who is a good player, but not one that I see seizing the starting job and holding on to it. They have a bunch of guys that can play a role. Maybe Chase Brown's overvalued, but even that feels wrong in my mind. Where's your opinion on the Cincinnati backfield?
Well, I'm all wheels up on Chase Brown right now. Drafting him probably ahead of Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, and Josh Jacobs, maybe right in that range. I mean, there's nothing from last year. Sure. I think that Green Bay probably returns to a little bit more of a pass-happy team. I think we saw relatively close to Josh Jacobs' ceiling last year. I mean, we saw the great year with the Raiders 2 years ago. Right. So, we're kind of working around the ceiling. And meanwhile, Chase Brown barely played the first, 4 weeks or so of last year. And then, a lot of us forget that week 17 touchdown that he lost when he fractured his ankle on the goal line. Saved me a championship, but took down his score there, took down people's memory of him to end the season. I don't see any reason why on that potent offense he doesn't come back and pick right off. So Taj Brooks, though I consider him now like a good handcuff, right? And in the 18th round, 3, 4, 5 rounds after some of the other handcuffs, I'm definitely interested in sprinkling him in the 18th round right now.
Yeah, I would agree entirely. And I think those type of players really can win you or lose you your year too. Like it's kind of like the Isaiah Pacheco situation from last year. I know we ended up getting hurt and we didn't get to see what a full season of Pacheco looked like there, but Isaiah Pacheco would have been a top 12, top 16 running back almost no matter what. And I think him and Chase Brown are pretty good archetypes for what you can expect in terms of production. It might not be the most efficient. He's not going to break the most tackles, but he is certainly going to get the yards that are blocked for him. And he's in an offense where it doesn't really matter if he's Adrian Peterson. Like, he doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, and he caught a ton of balls last year too. So definitely in a PPR format, he's a threat near the goal line in 2 different ways, right? Running and passing. So as I said, wheels up on Chase Brown, really kind of the top of that tier for me when you're talking about Jonathan Taylor, Irvin, Jacobs. And you can probably put Breeze and Hampton right there.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, all of those guys kind of make up a tier for me too. Check out the tiers feature on the League Champ app. And speaking of that, we are actually going over some League Champ data today on the podcast. And I'm going to start by giving a little spiel about what variance is. Variance is an average measure of how much away from the mean the average result is. We have 50 ranks in our database. We have a good indicator of how people are viewing players going into week 1. And I want to go over the players with the highest variance in our database to kind of see if those high variance outcomes are something that we're working with this year. Because last year, players like Tee Higgins, Jerry Jeudy, Bucky Irving, and Chase Brown were high variance outcome players that were taken way below their ceiling outcome.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
And we have a couple opportunities in this class that I'm looking at to get that high variance outcome and to really validate if variance in positional ranks actually is a good indicator as to if a player has a high range of outcomes or if the ADP community is largely a whisper chamber, which could still be the case. We're going to see at the end of this year. But we're going to start with Tetairoa McMillan. We have him at wide receiver 44, admittedly quite low. Underdog has him at wide receiver 24. I actually think we're going to be closer to redraft ADP when it comes down to it. I think that rookie receivers are going to fall down. The underdog community is pretty sharp. We tend to be ahead on rookie receivers, but we have him at 13.2 in terms of positional variance, which is the average difference in his rank. So he is going all over the board. People probably have him close to 11, and people probably have him as low as wide receiver 50. So how do you see Tetairoa pulling up this season? Do you think Bryce brings it back?
I am excited for Tetairoa. I can't say I've been drafting him a ton because I'm still loving the quarterbacks that are going in that region. And you kind of get like when Breeze Hall falls and Hampton's going there right now. But I mean, it's exciting. He's going to go right in. He's going to have an opportunity to be the wide receiver 1. We saw Bryce get on a roll last year. Like, we really like Dave Canales and what he can do with his offense. So why can't Tetairoa be great this year in his first year? Like, is he going to be vying for the wide receiver 1 position? Probably not. But could he be a top 12? Absolutely. And I heard today that he's going like 80th in Yahoo right now. So I don't want to say it too loud if any league mates are listening to the pod. But I'll be owning a lot of Tet in redraft if he's going somewhere like 60 to 80 is what I've heard across the different apps.
See, that's what I am starting to think too, because when we look at positional variance here, we have people that are drafting a lot of teams in May and July. That is not the normal fantasy football owner. When you are in your league with your friends, getting in there, having a couple beers, not many people know Tetairoa McMillan and the season he had for Arizona. They don't know his metrics. They don't know he ran a 4.440. And you can probably get him around like 80s, the 90s maybe. And I think his outcomes are as high as you've said. Like I'm actually fully believing that there is an opportunity for him to be a top 12 receiver. That could happen. I don't think it's likely. I think he's going to be closer to that wide receiver 24 range that Underdog has him at. Really efficient ADP, but I'm going to believe in that too. I think he's the type of player that you need on a redraft team because you know his role after week 3 too. Like, you get that player in the 90s, if they're wide receiver 36, you don't need them. Trade them. Cut them. You're good.
Yeah, and last year when I was gearing up for redraft season, I remember Adam Levitan saying from Establish the Run that in your home leagues, there's going to be a lot of valuable wide receivers that fall just because the market is not as sharp. And especially for somebody like myself and yourself who've been drafting all summer, we kind of like, I know what the tiers look like. And when I like scroll through a list, I can see like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. So the advice was grab your 2 elite running backs early and just scoop up all of those drop value wide receivers and really fill out your room that way. So something to think about as our drafts are approaching.
Yeah, it's really that zig while everyone's sagging strategy where, like, the same thing could be said in best ball this year with people starting to push running back up a little bit and starting to see that. The response probably should be to go wide receiver early in best ball and go running back early in redraft because that is likely where the ADP is inefficient, and that's really what you're looking for anyways. Speaking of potentially inefficient ADPs, we'll see. I'm interested to your thoughts on Quinshon Judkins. We have him at positional rank RB 32.6. We have a variance of 12.7, so all over the board. Some people have him real late, some people have him real early. And we have his underdog ADP at RB 30 and cratering because he was in the early 20s last week, and I wouldn't be shocked if he's in the late 30s by the end of this week. How far does he have to drop before he becomes a value?
I think I've seen some like 140 picks out there online that people have been interested in scooping him up. For now, he's just kind of off my draft board. He's going to miss the entire preseason training camp. He's on not that good of a team. There's probably either a commissioner's exempt list or an early season suspension, though that seems unlikely to me since the legal case isn't settled yet. But I haven't seen a lot of like the Browns have not been thirsty to get him signed and get him on the practice field. They're letting the situation play out, and it could be a lost year for Judkins. So for now, he's kind of off my board.
That's surprising to hear because he is just getting to the point where I'm starting to look at him. Because I was really convinced by the take I've heard. I think it was either on like one of the Discords I'm in, probably the Empire of the Elite one that I was on, just had a lot of comments about how crazy that 25 RB ranking that Judkins had going into this week was. And I agree with it because the team sucks. Like, the Browns won't be good. Judkins profiles as more of a power back. We saw what that role yields. David Montgomery was on it with Justin Fields for about 3 years. It never worked out to RB12 because it doesn't. That's not really in the range of outcomes. But if you're talking about a guy that you got in the second round, a high-quality running back, and Judkins is a high-quality running back by all performance metrics. If you can get him in the hundreds and that suspension lags into next year, I would be excited to get him around 110, 120. Before that, I'm kind of with you. I don't see the value, but in your best ball leagues, once he falls to a certain point, I see the opportunity there at least.
Yeah, so right now he's going, right after Tracy and Scadaboo. Scadaboo moving up, Tracy moving down right now. Looks like they're about to cross paths. Dobbins is in that range. At this point, I think he's pretty fully valued. And then you got Charbonnet going right after him, who personally I'm more interested in Charbonnet. I think we've seen a lot of great games out of Charbonnet. You're not drafting him to put him as your everyday starter, but we saw multiple 20-plus point games out of Charbonnet last year. Not that offense is going to be excellent, but they are committed to the run. Tajay Spears, and I think we both enjoy Tajay Spears. So I'm interested in guys who are playing. When we're talking redraft, I'm definitely not interested in someone who's going to have a slow start. You only get to pick one of those people max. And right now it'd be like Judkins, Rice, Addison, Ayuk. So there's like 5 or 6 names out there, and you can only pick one max. And at this point, I'm kind of just fading them all. as a big Rice supporter, I still haven't even figured out what my new sweet spot is on that. Seems like he's kind of settling around the 4-5 turn. And unless he's like my wide receiver 4, kind of interested in other names there still. So maybe it's just getting my exposure down since I was like 23% when the news struck. So.
Oh, were you on Rashi? You were at 23%.
I believe that was the number I pulled up. Yes. I was pretty confident in the no suspension.
Chev's gonna love that. I thought so too. And by the way, insane jail term. Like, you and I get into an accident like that, we don't get to serve our 30 days anytime over the next 5 years. What a ridiculous ruling. I didn't even know you could do that.
Finish the game Sunday, check in on Monday, watch film from the cell, head back to practice on Tuesday. Nah. I'm sure he'll knock it out in the offseason.
That's funny. No, I mean, because I love him at 4-5. My exposure has been crazy since he's been dropping, because I had him at around 7%, maybe 5%. And now getting him up to like 13s, 14s has been pretty nice. But moving on, we have a more fun name where we have a bit more certainty in the situation. Travion Henderson. We have him at positional rank 29 with a 12 positional variance. Moving all over the boards. Like, people like him, some people hate him. An underdog ADP of RB21. How do you feel about Travion? Because I really think that he may be an absolute value in redraft, because...
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. Funny thing about being fast, you end up waiting a lot. First to show up, first in line, then just waiting. Me, I rev up Chumba Casino. With over 200 social casino games, no slow lanes here. Why sit around when you can spin? I'm already racing. Your turn. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
A guy like that going in the late 20s really does have an opportunity to take that RB1 job, and Ramondre Stevenson has done nothing but fumble opportunities throughout his NFL career of late.
Yeah. So that used to be a really sweet area because you had Hampton, Henderson, Harvey, Judkins, and then Johnson. And Hampton is run up, Judkins is run down. Ideally, I was taking one of the 5 kind of thing. So now you got to make a decision. Do you grab Harvey? Do you grab Henderson? I think the start could be kind of slow for Henderson. I do think he will share a lot of time with Stevenson, but I do think as the season goes along, and we all know that the most valuable part of the fantasy season is the end, that he will continue to gain in value. And he's a great prospect, and I love pairing him up with Drake May. Though Drake May's threatening he's not going to run as much, which I don't know how I feel about that.
Cool.
Yeah. That sounds like a good preseason story. That sounds like a cool, I'm not going to run.
Yeah.
Well, last year, what?
You remember how Josh Allen was not going to run?
Wasn't it last year for Drake May? He only had like a couple of design rushes and everything else was a scramble. So maybe he will get a couple more design rushes and then he'll still have some scrambles. So I'm in on Henderson. I think it's going to be a slow start. Maybe somebody you can trade for if you don't grab him in the draft. But definitely in on him over kind of some of those older names that go around him, the Kamara, Connor. He's a little bit behind Chuba, but I definitely prefer Henderson over Caleb Johnson. I'm just not quite there on Caleb yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Warren's shown enough that you should be worried about Caleb Johnson. Like, Arthur Smith, it's not like the Patriots where we have this theoretical upside scenario where their offense is actually really fun. Like, Arthur Smith is going to run the exact same offense with Aaron Rodgers that he ran with Will Levis, that he ran with Ryan Tannehill, that he ran with every other player, Desmond Ridder, and the results should be about the same. At best, middle of the pack. At worst, bottom of the pack. So I'm in the same boat. Like, I love Caleb Johnson at a certain ADP, but the more he goes up, the more scary it seems to be. Like, I can't I can't see him taking enough of that role to actually be worth it, because as someone who had Najee last year in that Arthur Smith offense in that role, it wasn't fun. Like, he may have lived up to expectation, but it sure wasn't fun putting Najee in my starting lineup last year.
Well, Arthur Smith had Bijan when he was a rookie, and he still split carries with Algier like 55-45, and Bijan was a much better prospect than Johnson is. So I'm not there yet. Going RB22, pick 67, a lot around some wide receivers I still like quite a bit. You got Jawan Jennings, Jordan Addison there. You love Deebo Samuel. Jerry Judy's fallen, ridiculously far down. And then I do like Ricky Pearsall. Yeah. Jawan Jennings' calf injury has repopped up from OTAs, and I mean, I'm probably 20% Jennings or so, but and Kittle, give me more Kittle at this point. I'll take the 1 to 2 round discount. Yeah, so going upper fourth in underdog, but at the home league, unless you got a bunch of Niner fans around, it'll probably be fifth, even sixth.
Yeah, you can get him in the fifth and underdog too. Like, he slips in some drafts, and I'm always surprised because I'm like, what did Kittle show last year aside from the fact that he is still the incredible athlete that he's been for so much of his career? But moving on to the next one, and I'm loving that these league champ positional ranks kind of match the sort of vibe I've been getting in drafts, where these players do move around a lot, and Baker Mayfield may be the QB that I see going the latest and also the earliest, and I'm surprised every time, because we have him at QB 10.7. Underdog has him at QB 7. He finished as QB 5 last year on the best touchdown variance season we could possibly expect. Is Baker Mayfield worth a QB 7 pick?
On my opinion, I love this year QB. Like, I think he's the beginning of a tier, QB 7 all the way down through CJ Stroud at QB 20. I mean, we were super in on CJ Stroud last year. He was going at the Joe Burrow spot in the draft. I faded him pretty hard, thinking that a rookie pocket passer was probably not the right pick in the first 6-7 rounds of a draft. But, why take Baker? Let's see. So he's going QB 7, 94th overall, or you can take CJ Stroud, QB 20, 132 overall. So, you have 4 rounds to grab Baker, Kyler, Bo Nix, Justin Fields, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jared Goff, McCarthy. I'm still not fully in on Herbert, Love, Lawrence, Stroud.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All similar enough players, especially in a home league. Like, I'd rather be taking, high upside guys like Mbuke or Golden at that Baker Mayfield spot. And when the draft dries out, pick one of the, running upside quarterbacks who's left. If I can get Drake May 4 rounds later than Mayfield with the rushing floor, or like, I love Caleb with Adunze, or even Justin Herbert, Jordan Love's got to do better. We thought he was so good 2 years ago, and last year he got banged up, and now we're out on him. So
I stayed out. I thought he wasn't going to be great last year, and I was proved correct. Sadly, the rest of my predictions weren't great. But
you need an injury.
I am totally with
you need an injury to be right. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly with you, and I really think that the CJ Stroud comment that you made is particularly on point, because CJ Stroud was going right around the same range last year, if not a little bit higher, and he had the exact same outcome. An above average passing yardage total, an above average amount of touchdown variance going his way, and we don't want to bet on that year over year. That's how you end up taking Jared Goff too early and not taking him at QB 12 to 17 where he should be going. And I'm certainly with you there. Moving on, this one's a fun topic because I'm really wondering why this is happening, but I have noticed in drafts that BTJ is going wide receiver 11.2 for us with an 11.7 positional variance. Underdog has him at wide receiver 8, but I have also noticed that he tends to go a little bit later in the second round than I'm expecting. I think there is a good case for BTJ to hit his ceiling. Is Travis Hunter actually going to hold him down anyway?
There are a bunch of teams that have 2 wide receivers, right? So, CD is going to have Pickens, but CD is still going as the wide receiver too. So, can both eat? I think so. If BTJ can eat with Mac Jones, then I sure hope that BTJ and Hunter can eat with Trevor Lawrence back. I think we're playing on this offense to improve. We like the new coaching staff. We like the weapons. We still have a number 1 overall pick. So I like BTJ. And yeah, when he's fallen, I mean, if he's there 12, 13, 14, 15, he's just on the roster. So no hesitation.
Yeah. Kind of in the same boat. I like Nico a little bit better than him, and I also am a big Amon-Ra guy this year because I think the Lions will be forced to pass a little bit more often. I know that would be slightly a surprise, but I'm kind of more in on those guys, but I still see the case for BTJ because I'm taking him ahead of the Marvin Harrisons, the Garrett Wilsons, the guys around there. You can't make a case for them because BTJ literally finished as the wide receiver, I believe, 8 last year. And I think that is fully in the range of outcomes because Mac Jones is not better than Trevor Lawrence. Moving on to the next one here, keeping it close to home, Colston Loveland, the highest variance tight end in our database at 7.1. Tight end 15 for us. Underdog has him at tight end 12. And this one's growing on me. I think I'm starting to buy into the Loveland love. Talk me off my homerism.
Oh, can't do that. I'm bought in. So maybe you'll have to buy even more shares. Yeah. So, I mean, he was a elite prospect, top 10 draft pick. The Bears got the guy they wanted, playing the Caleb Williams upside. He's looking great now at practice. There were concerns because he missed OTAs, but the coaching staff always knew he had this shoulder injury that was going to require recovery headed into the season. Coach has nothing but good things to say about him. So, but hearing a lot of good things out of Bears camp. So maybe it's just positive drumbeat central out there. Because even after a couple days after Luther Burden was getting yelled at by the coaching staff, now 2 days later he's getting praised. So maybe it's just going to be a great offense. Tough division though.
Yeah, keep talking them up. I love to hear that. I fully believe it. I mean, the only thing that worries me is I've been hearing a lot about Ben Johnson just not sleeping, like just staying at his desk all night and yelling all the time. And I have this like sneaking suspicion that Chicago is starting to kill these coaches. Like they come here, they're expecting it to be easy, and they realize the entire city and the entire state of Illinois, for that matter, is relying on them, and it's a lot to have on your shoulders. I feel it. Like, yeah. New York has 2 teams, and no one can handle that pressure.
True that. Yeah, I love that range. You got Tyler Warren, Tucker Kraft, Njoku, Loveland, and yeah, like those 4. I just feel like you let them. Unless one of the big 3 falls to you early, or you like find a spot where you found a tier break in the wide receivers or running backs, I just kind of cut all the guys out of the middle. Yeah, I was Kelsey. No, he's part of the cut out of the middle group. And then I just take one of these 4 guys late. And if you're sitting there at the back of your redraft and you have 4 names on the board that you like, that just gives you so much freedom to keep pushing it off and continuing to build your high upside weapons. And like, I'd be so comfortable with either of those 4 names as my starting tight end. Oh, and Ferguson's like a stone's throw away from that too, with his new money bag. I'd be happy to take him on my team as well.
Yeah. The Ferg contract's nice because that guy earned it. Like I didn't see that upside from him, but he is so dang athletic and he has been killing it. So I'm fully bought into that as well. I think Ferg is a pretty nice piece of that offense. Who else should be on this list? Because we got some data coming in. We have an idea of where our ranks are at. What's going to be the high variance outcomes that we haven't talked about today? Because we've talked a lot of rookies.
Oh, shoot. I was just going to bring up another rookie name. Let's
do
see.
it.
Okay, well, I think
it.
Emeka Egbuka is
I love
has
that.
a chance to be top 24, top 18. It seems like we're not going to see Chris Godwin to start the season. Mike Evans is getting Mike Evans' age. I know everyone's been out on McMillan. I'm still picking up some pieces there, especially with the Godwin news, but perfect landscape for Egbuka to hop right in. The drumbeat for him being the number one prospect or number one receiver of this class is continues to grow. I remember sitting on a ski lift back this spring, listening to a podcast and about the draft, and some people were saying Egbuka could end up being the number one receiver, and it didn't go that way by a couple picks, but that upside's there, and he's sitting right there in that BTJ range from last year, maybe even a little bit further down the board. Love that spot for him. So Egbuka, I think, has a wide range of outcomes, and right now probably being underprojected.
Yeah, and I love anybody where you hear the drum beat early on too, because when you hear Baker Mayfield and the coaches saying, Emeka, first one in, last one out, he knows every play, he knows them off the bat, he's there, he's a professional. It's cool, confirm those priors, give us what we need to feel confident about this pick, because the typical redraft person is going to be I don't need it. He's a rookie. He probably won't step in day one. And the reality is that Godwin role, it's going to be open in a few years. And the Mecca's probably going to be the one filling it.
Love him in Dynasty for sure. So I got a running back name for you here, kind of right in that range, who I think has a high...
Hit it.
All right. We start our first episode together. I was talking about this guy, but Travis Etienne is back.
Duval.
A lot of camp news for Tank Bigsby, talking about how he's the efficient runner and getting all the running camp. But I see a ton of clips of Etienne catching the ball, and I think he's just going to be an important piece of that offense. Is he going to be the workhorse? No. It's definitely going to be a split backfield between 2 to 3 guys. But we know that Etienne has the talent. We know that he has a nose for the end zone. Saw that multiple times in 2 years ago when he ended up being the RB3. And there's a lot of statistics from last year that were greatly impacted by his early season injury. So here drafted at ADP 96, running back 31 off the board as a young guy who was running back 3 just 2 seasons ago. I think he's got a super, super wide range of outcomes.
Yeah. I mean, and this one I love because the Tank Bigsby supporters are never quiet. These are the loudest folks on the internet. There just are not people who are more passionate about a slow, slightly inefficient running back that runs into contact more than Tank Bigsby fans. And I'm with it. He has a very cool name. Totally agree. Tank is a good name. Tanks run over stuff. Tank Bigsby runs over stuff. It works. It works. I understand it. But Etienne is an elite prospect profile. When he went in the first round, it's atrocious. You shouldn't be taking an RB that early, especially one without the elite athleticism traits that a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Bijan Robinson have. But Etienne's good. He was real good. And Bashal Tutin being a non-factor early in camp, fumbling early in camp, I think says more about this split than anything else, because Tank Bigsby was going to get run either way. But if Bashal Tutin isn't the RB1 there, then it's then it's Travis, and he will be getting the passing down work. Tank cannot catch.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely hasn't shown his catching prowess in the NFL, and even some of his camp videos, he looks kind of awkward catching the ball. And the thought is maybe it's even a little mental at this point because he had like 40 plus catches his final year in college, so he does have some receiving chops. But Tank is still going 150 ADP.
Yes,
yeah, he's going 150. He's behind Sampson, Trey Benson, Rashad White, Isaac Orindo. Like, he's got more of a role than all those guys. Maybe White, you could say, has a similar role. He's going behind, well behind Ray Davis, Najee Harris, and he's still 16 picks behind Tootin. So I still think Tank's definitely a good depth pick. But for redraft, I'll probably be staying further away because I just don't think he's got too much of an upside case.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those guys who goes higher in redraft too. Like, last year weighs really strongly on the redraft community. Like, people are using last year's stats to copy and paste into this year, and Tank Bigsby had a couple games that would make you think that he is the starting running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And to be honest, it doesn't matter whether he is or not. Travis Etienne will have a role there, and that's the thing that you need to really put your chips all in on, because Liam Cohn, he is going to split the workload. He has been very clear about it. He did it last year. For all the Bucky truthers, he hardly had any games with over 50% snap share. And Tank won't have a game with over 50% snap share. He just won't.
He's just not the best running back on their team. At the end of the day, Etienne is still the best running back on their team. Too many people are relating Etienne to Fournette. After one season, everyone's like, Etienne is just the same, Jaguar that Fournette was. And I think he's still a freaking awesome deal at 95.
I think so too. Well, games coming up here. What other names do we need to hear about before we hop off?
Well, I just have some obsessions going on these days, and I just can't stop.
When do you not?
I cannot stop thinking about Jameson Williams right now. Just, his target per route run climbed last year to 21.8% over the last 6 games. He's averaging 16.9 yards per reception over the final 5 games. And the way the coaching staff is talking him up, it's like he's ready to take that next step. And I know he really did take that next step last year, but I don't think he's hit his ceiling yet. And I'm just excited to see it, and I want to be on that train. He was a first-round pick. He had a slow start because of an injury, followed by a little gambling misfortune. And now he's being the prospect that we thought he was on an offense that's still supposed to be excellent. They probably won't score their 33 points a game that they scored last year, but they're probably going to be trailing more this year. They have a much tougher schedule. And Jameson Williams is the absolute GOAT at this point.
I love to hear it. I'm not sure I'm as bought in, to be fair, because I really think Amon-Ra controls that passing game, and I think he should, because he's shown it year over year. But if we're talking about high variance guys, there is not a better name to bring up than Jameson Williams, because the guy was easily one of the better prospects that we've seen come out. If he had tested, I think we would have been astounded at how well he would have done. He is so fast. We're seeing it in the pros because he is one of the big play merchants out there. He can score a 50-yard touchdown. It's something that Tank Bigsby can't do. And we really should have JMO a little bit higher. I think that my love of DK Metcalf kind of prevents me from taking JMO more than I'd like to, because when I look at those two guys, you're looking at prospect profiles where they have the big play in their arsenal. All they have to do is get the target share. And there's a good argument that even as the wide receiver one, that DK doesn't have the target share that JMO does.
Yeah, and I've noticed that when I like kind of go through some of my exposures is sometimes, especially in the first 8 rounds or so, when you have guys that you like really love and you start taking them all the time, you start to have some like gaps in your profile. So like we were talking about those round 5 running backs, Kamara, Connor, and stuff, and I'm missing a lot of those because I'm so consistently going Jawan Jennings, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, all people I love in that area, or one of the rookie running backs. So know your blind spots, especially if you're drafting a portfolio. But if you're only doing one redraft, pick your favorite people and don't worry about the ones you can't have. You can't have every player that you love. If you want that, go join more leagues. Go do more drafts.
Yeah. And to be honest, high variance players are exactly who you should take in redraft. Like, high variance players are great in best ball. They're even better when you win a ship. So take those players, get them on your roster.
JMO's going to be your wide receiver 2 or even 3. Like at that point, don't be drafting for floor. You want the guy who can put up 25, 30 and just win the week for you right there. So I love that. Like in a dynasty league of mine, I think I have him and Dunze as my 2 flex receivers. So I got just 2 high upside guys after a couple good starters. So.
Well, I see you have Dunze here in the show sheet, but we're going to skip right over that. We talk about Dunze 24/7 because I want to hear, before we get out of here, on Jaden Reed. Okay. I absolutely love this. Wide receiver 44 in underdog ADP. He was going, I think, wide receiver 18 last year, and he did not show me a lot last year that made me think that he isn't a guy who can finish as a wide receiver 20, wide receiver 30 at a minimum. I think he's a fantastic pick, and I personally think he's the best receiver on the Packers.
Yeah, super disappointing season last year. Only 75 targets, 55 receptions, 857 yards. So pretty good efficiency.
Terrible snap share.
Yeah, absolutely terrible snap share. And there's rumors that he's been taking snaps in 2 wide receiver sets at camp, but he's also going to be competing with Dobbs and Golden. I mean, it's definitely a crowded wide receiver room, but we're talking about upside at this point in the draft. We're talking about people that we can play in our flex and they can score that 20 to 30 points that can just win you the week. And Jaden Reed's that guy. And like, let's not take what the Packers did last year and do a carbon copy for this year. Jordan Love was hurt. They threw the ball a lot less. Josh Jacobs was super efficient and effective, which is great, but they would much prefer to be a more balanced offense. And that's going to start with Jaden Reed. And we've seen him put up long touchdowns over and over again. So, he put up 185 underdog points year 1, 169 year 2. There's no reason he can't go to 250 this year. Just needs a little bit more to go his way.
Yeah, I am in the exact same boat, and I think Christian Watson being out is a bigger deal than people want to make it. I love Matt Golden. I think he's a good receiver. I thought he was a bit overdrafted. I had a 2nd or 3rd round grade on the guy, and largely because we didn't get to see a ton of him at Texas. We got to see him in the number 1 role, and he was fantastic. But when it came down to it, Isaiah Bond did not end up panning out to be a great prospect. There's a reason that guy went undrafted, and if we're looking at players that ended up taking that target share, I think that Golden's great, but rookie receivers tend to take a while to break out. So the fact that Jaden Reed is going so much lower, where he seems to have the safest role on the Packers, doesn't make a ton of sense for me either. But that wraps us up here. We got this all together, and because preseason football always takes forever, we have hardly missed a snap. So we are going to get out of here on this. Tell them where to find you, Scott.
You can find me at smaltes on X, trying to be a little bit more active on there. Just have a good time with the best ball community or the fantasy community as that starts to heat up and we start to get our more casual fans back in, and just really looking forward to getting this thing started.
Yeah, we could not be more hyped here too. We're gonna hear from Scott a lot coming up, so be ready because that guy has a lot of ideas, and we're hoping they're right. But I'm Addi. You can find me at Duck League Champ on the socials. You can also find me on League.champ on the TikTok. And please download the League Champ app. We have free contests running all year. Please take our money. We are trying to really get the most comprehensive rakes database out there and make it entirely open source to the community. So get on there. Let's keep the season rolling. We've had a ton of momentum coming up, and it is going to be a real fun season. So, as JC always goes on the end of these episodes, Bijan forever, Dijon never. See you later.
Have a good one.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.